In this video, we're going to be going over how to go and cut one of these little guys for candles out of one of these little guys. So that'll be kind of fun. We're going to do a pine tree on pine. I know, cheesy. I'm a dad, leave me alone. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to be going over that, how that's done, and how to mass process a whole bunch of these so you can either do them for fun and profit or just for your loved ones for the holidays, or if they got maybe like a rustic cabin, or, you know, who knows? I don't judge. Anyway, long story made short, don't forget to like and subscribe, and definitely hit that bell notification icon for all of our newest videos. In the meantime, let's get to the pine trees. Okay. So this project is super simple. So first off is we went ahead and found a pattern and then enhanced it as we needed to be able to go and have both the pine tree and also the circle in the middle, which is where the candle is going to go. Pretty simple. What you also need is you need some of the spray adhesive as recommended. This makes it like super easy to be able to do this. And just cut out your pattern. Now I do recommend when you're cutting out your pattern, make sure that you do leave a little bit here on the sides. And the reason being is so this way it will fit on the actual board itself. So we're just going to go ahead and attach this to the board. We actually already put on spray adhesive about 10 minutes ago, and this stuff will work from anywhere from 10 minutes to I guess like 30 minutes or something. But basically how we got the little folds on there is just we put it up against the wood and literally folded it on the actual piece of wood itself. So that way we knew we had a perfect fit. And really the only reason to do this is just so this way you have an accurate measurement without actually having to measure. Now, when you go to make the design and stuff like that, you do need to measure the size of your board, because you need to make sure that your board will actually fit in here. But most boards, if you're picking out from like the big box stores like we did with this one, they're generally going to be about 6 inches if you're getting something that's proper size. So we know that we have about 6 inches from here to here. And then this is just kind of whatever. This is however big you want this to be. But ultimately, you're always going to want to kind of create a pyramid shape. So you kind of want to do that. So really, this is just 3 pyramids on top of each other and a little stick at the bottom and a hole. I mean, that's about as crazy as these things get, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, so that gets us started with that. So now we're going to go ahead and take this over to the table saw. And we're going to go ahead and set up our stop block and start cutting out blanks, so that way we have the stuff we need in order to be able to actually cut these out and just batch these out. Okay, so now we've got this all set up. As you can see here, we got our stop block squared away, got our tree here, and then as you can see on our sled, we've got this basically going right through here. So this way we have an even sized blank. So this is nice and repeatable. Then we can go all the way down this beautiful piece of lumber that we found and just knock this out really, really fast. So this will be super easy. And I absolutely love these types of projects. So this is going to be great. Okay, and as you can see, that basically gives us our blanks, which of course are all the same basic size since we use the stop block and everything. And this will allow us to go ahead and jump on over to the bandsaw, or actually with these you probably could actually do them with a little jigsaw if you wanted, but ultimately we're going to do ours on a bandsaw because we have one. But just like any other video that we have, you know, coping saw, so on and so forth, you can do this with whatever tool you want. You're literally just cutting lines, so no big deal there. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do that next, and let's get to it. We're going to do a whole bunch of these, putting some double-sided tape and connecting them all together, kind of like what she's doing here. Actually helps out quite a bit, so this way you can mass process. You could really technically do this all the way up to the size of your bandsaw. Which in my case I've got a little bit over 6 inches worth of clearance on the bandsaw, but ultimately I wouldn't go much thicker than what we've got about here, which is about 5 pieces of 3/4 board, or in essence 3/4 inch wide, or what they call at the store 1 inch wide pine, because apparently pine loses 1/4 of an inch when it dries. I don't know. That's the thing they tell me. So I'll tell you the same. But anyway, but yeah, so about 5 of these is about as high as you probably go on probably most band saws, especially if you got a 6-inch. If you got something that's a little bit smaller, I might take it down to 2 or 3. Of course, the shorter you go, the more accurate potential you have. But then again, if you got a good aligned blade, you don't have to worry about that too much. So just kind of a side note, kind of a boring process putting this all together, but it is nice once you're done. Just remember, if you do make any mistakes while you're doing this, it's not that big of a deal. Make sure you're keeping your little fence module thing out of the way so that way you can actually see where you're cutting. But for the most part, it's pretty easy, especially if you're doing pine in particular. Super soft wood, so it's pretty easily forgivable, and if you make a mistake, it's pretty easy to sand. So that's kind of the nice thing about doing a softwood versus a hardwood. So there we go. All right, there we go. Got a whole bunch of trees here, all duplicates. So you can see all the way around, which makes it really nice. So now what we have to do is just pull these apart. We're actually going to do a little bit of staining on these. We found a green stain, so thought that looked pretty cool, I hope. And then we have some kind of a reddish brown stain that we're going to use for down here. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes, because stain obviously isn't like paint, it kind of goes wherever it wants. So these might come out looking really cool, or they may come out looking like crap, but we're hoping for cool. So we'll see how that goes in the next step. So we went ahead and created a little template just to quickly go and put the circles in a good accurate area, which is actually kind of a good idea, because if you mess up the template, not a big deal. You mess up one of these, those are your final products, you definitely don't want to do that. So we got these all circled out, and we've got them all sanded down. So basically the idea here is to take your Fastener bit. I'll leave a little link down below in the description if I can for where you can find the specific size. This is the one that works perfect for tea candles. But basically you just want to make sure that you're able to kind of lock in on the exact spot here, and just try to keep it as close to in the lines as possible. After you get there, especially since this is pine, you can do this on hardwood too. I like to give it a little press down, just make sure that it's good to go. And this will give us a little point to start working with when we start up the drill press. So on that note, let's get to business. Okay, so we got everything in line, ready to go. Just going to turn it on and get this drilled out. And I did set up here, we set the depth meter so it can only go so far, so I'll travel about 9/10 of the way down. So it'll be a really thin bottom, but at the same time, it should work out perfectly fine, because you don't need a lot of material to be able to go and hold the tea candle, because, well, quite frankly, they don't weigh anything. So that's kind of the good thing about it. Just like snow. How cute. Okay, so there's basically our final product for the most part. Now, you could either leave it like this, or you could go to the next level and you can do some staining and stuff like what we're going to do. And since this board's a little on the thin side, you're going to have probably a little bit of overgap, but that's kind of good though, because this makes it so you can pull the light candle out. So not everything being flush is not always the correct answer to everything in life. So there you go. That's basically the basics. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this whole pile that I'm working on. I'll show you how bad this truly is. This is what we're doing. And after we're done with that, then we're going to go ahead and stain this here and see if we can get a nice pretty green color out of it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get these stained up, but before we do, we're going to put on a little bit of what's called pre-stain. Now, pre-stain basically does is it keeps the wood from becoming blotchy and whatnot when you go and apply a stain to it. This also allows the stain to flow in a little bit better into the actual veins and keeps the wood from like drinking all the stains. So it's actually kind of nice because certain parts of the wood will drink more than others will, which is what causes blotchiness. So we're going to be doing that, and then we're going to move on to staining. So we'll go ahead and get to that. Okay, so to make sure that we don't have, hopefully, too much bleed through, we're just going through here and taping around the bottom of the tree. And the thought process behind this is if we do this, the bleed through should be pretty minimal. So just kind of doing that. This is probably good advice whether you're painting or staining in all reality. As you can see, we're just putting on the stain with a paintbrush so that we get the best possible control over it. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and put the green stain on here and see how this looks. So far these are looking pretty sharp. Just kind of paint that in there. The wife likes it. And this stuff actually soaks in pretty quick. It actually says on the can that you can literally be done within about less than 2 minutes. So I'm not sure exactly how much I believe that, but we're gonna test it out here, see how it does.
It's pretty.
Okay, so this is basically what it winds up looking like in the end, before finish, of course. Then you can just finish that with whatever you want, whether it be a satin or a gloss or whatever you're into. But that's the basic look. And then, of course, you can just pull the candle right out and pop the candle right in, and just replace them as you want. So pretty awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and finish up the rest of these, and then, then we'll be on to finishing. I think it's about 2 to 3 hours before we can do finishing. So it's going to be pretty awesome. So now for the fun part. We went ahead and put a base coat of de-waxed shellac on here, in essence sanding sealer, so that way we could go ahead and protect the stain from the finish, because sometimes the finishes and the stains will kind of interact in a bad way. So we went ahead and did that. So now we're just going to go ahead and jump into spraying these down and getting these ready to rock and roll. So let's do this. Anyway, so we got this all sprayed down. We'll go ahead and let this dry down. Then we'll flip it over, do the back side, and then move on to the next set. So that's pretty much basically how this works. So pretty simple. So now you guys get to see what it looks like when we're all done. Coming up now. All right, thanks for hanging out with us and building these cool little Christmas trees, or pine trees out of pine for the extra pun there. As you can see, you can kind of do this with any sort of candle. We did red in here because this seemed to be the most popular from people who got these. But green also works equally as well. Either way, really nice little type of deal there. And they're super easy to make, and people absolutely love these. Like, I was actually surprised how much they like these. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, great to give away. Cheap to make, not too hard to design overall, and you can sell them. I mean, hey, why not make some money off of this? I mean, just because it's a hobby doesn't mean you shouldn't make some cash, right? So that's a thing. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification icon for all of our newest videos, because we definitely have plenty coming up. And in the meantime, stay safe in the shop.